Hi guys, I hope you are all doing well. I have a new video for you today, obviously, and today I'm going to be showing you my magic deck. My fiance taught me how to play magic. The first time that he actually showed me his cards, I thought it was a really cool and interesting concept. I had never heard of making your own deck in such a way. When he was telling me about, wolves and demons and angels and all this stuff, for whatever reason, I thought it was just a regular card deck. And then, the other stuff came into play somehow. So when he brought his cards to show me what magic was, I was kind of surprised. So the first time that he tried to teach me how to play, I actually got a headache because it was so difficult and confusing for me. But I eventually got to a point where I understood enough that I could play. I am by in no means a great player. I can't play multicolored decks. They just get to be too complicated and confusing for me. I've tried. I actually bought this pack that had a card specifically that I wanted, and it was a 5-color card, I think, either that or 3, I'm not sure, and he helped me build a deck around that card, and in the end, I wasn't really able to play it because it is such a strategic game, and my brain just can't think of all the cards that are in the deck and to make everything work. So the deck I'm going to show you is a green deck. It is an elf deck, and it's very easy for me to use, and I love to play with it. So I'm going to get started and show you. This is the case that I put it in. Fun fact, we bought this case because it's my favorite color, and we had it at my fiance's house, his old house, and when we were moving everything, I did a once over just before we were gone, and I found this still in the packaging behind my fiance's closet door, and it would have got left behind had I not gone back in and did a thorough search of everything. And the cool thing about this case is that there is a compartment where you can put your dice, which obviously I do not have any in right now. So this is my deck. It is a 60 card deck, and I have green sleeves on it. And my fiance normally has a specific set or a specific number of land that he likes to keep in a 60 card deck. Mine is technically one off because the extra land isn't really necessary. ones that I have. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 in my deck. I believe my fiance normally puts 21 in all of his other decks. My deck is very fast, so if I play against a slower deck, I usually have a pretty good chance of winning in the beginning if I'm able to get out all the cards that I need. I have a lot of combinations that work really well together, and my fiance will have definitely more hard-hitting, powerful decks, but if he can't get the land out quick enough to get other cards out, I can beat him fairly easily, which doesn't say a lot about my skill, but it just shows that it is possible for me to win. Like I said, this is an elf deck, and I have multiples of several of these cards. I love this card. We'll go through each in just a moment. Okay. Here's the first card that I have, and in a normal 60 deck, or any deck, I'm pretty sure, well, it depends on what you're playing, because there are different types of play, but you are only able to have 4 of the same cards in a deck. So this one is Gilt Leaf Arc Druid, and it costs 5. And it is an elf druid. And I'm not going to read what all of the abilities are on each of these, but it's one of my more powerful cards. Because as I said, this deck isn't very hard hitting, but it can be because of the different combinations that I have. I have these 2 cards that are the same. It costs 1, and it doesn't do any damage, but when I put it on the field and I play it, the person that is attacking me, all of them have to hit this card so that I don't take any damage, or certain creatures don't take any damage. I thought I had another. I used to have multiples of this card in this deck, but I do not anymore. And this obviously is an elf warrior. It costs 3 and has a power of 2. But its abilities can be very helpful in critical times. And then I have these 2 cards. Taproot Kami. It costs 1. It doesn't do any damage. It's a defender. And its toughness or defense is as high as the number of forests that are on the field. And I think I said swamp earlier, and that was wrong. The forests is what they are. But he can be very powerful because it's not just the forests that I play. If I'm playing somebody that has green in their deck and they have forests out, it includes their forests as well. So he can be very, very helpful. The next card that I have is this one, Drove of Elves. And its power and toughness are equal to the number of green permanents that you control. And permanents are cards like this. It doesn't include land. They're whatever stays out on the field in general. And for those of you that do play Magic, I realize some of these things I may not be explaining very well, but this is not necessarily a tutorial on how to play Magic. This is just what my deck is, so I apologize if I get a few things kind of wrong. The next card I have is this one, and I used to have multiples of this in my deck as well. It costs 2 and has a power of 2. And it can be very helpful as well. I mean, all the cards can be very helpful, but I usually use it just as a way to attack. I have these 2 cards. Primal Command. It is not a creature, it is a sorcery. And you pay 5, and you choose 2 out of these 4 possibilities on the card. And this can be really great in a time where you might die, lose the game, whatever, or lose, a creature or something important. It can be very helpful in a pinch. The next card is Moment's Peace. It costs 2 and it's an instant. And basically what this does is if someone were to attack me, I could play this on their turn and it would prevent them from causing any combat damage to me. Or my creatures. Because you can hit the person that's playing or the creatures that they have on the field, or even your own, depending on how your deck runs. I love this card. I used to have 2 of these in my deck, but we took one out to put in another card. But I love this. This is an artifact and it costs 2. And basically anytime somebody plays a green spell, I would gain a life point. So if my opponent also plays a green spell, which would also be like a creature or something, then I get a life point for it. And imagine when you have 2 of these and you're playing somebody that has green in their deck, and I have all green in my deck, you can get a lot of points using these. These are the next cards. This is Chosen. It costs 2 and has a power of 2 and a toughness of 3. This card is great because, as you can see, if it would be put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you put it in your library at the bottom instead. And in Magic, once you go through your library, you lose that way. So this kind of keeps it continuously. Not that I've ever had that issue before. And I have 3 of these. Civic Wayfinder. And it costs 3. And it's an elf warrior druid. And it has a power of 2 and a toughness of 2. And this is great because you can play it and get out a land card. So since it's fairly low costing, if you can get out 3 land in the beginning and put this out, then you can go and grab another land to put out to help you towards your next turn. Which is part of the reason why my deck is fairly fast. And this is an awesome card also. This is a Planeswalker. It costs 4. But it has these different abilities for different counters that you take or add or remove. And it can do a lot of good when you need it to. And again, this is kind of great, like Worms too. And if you add a counter, you gain 2 life for each elf you control. I think I used to have 3 of these. Elvish Archdruid. It costs 3 and it has a power of 2 and a toughness of 2. And when you have this on the land, on the battlefield, other elf creatures you control get +1/+1, which means that if I have this out on the battlefield and I have this out as well, then this no longer is just a 3-2, it is now a 4-3. And I have several cards that do that, so I can really bulk up some of my elves, which is obviously very helpful. And you can also use it to add mana, or what the forests would be, so that you can play other cards if you don't have enough actual land out. Llanowar elves. Helpful when you need mana. And then I have this artifact, Staff of Domination, and it costs 3. I don't use this very often, but sometimes I use it when I'm in a pinch and I need to, do something that's a little more than just getting life or, putting mana on the field. This is also can be a really beefy elf. As you can see, it doesn't have a power and toughness to it. Its power and toughness are each equal to the number of elves you control. So if I have 8 elves on my battlefield, then this is now an 8-8. And if I have, one of these ones where you get +1/+1 for whatever, this can get really, really beefy and cause a lot of damage. This is a Dryad, and it's a 2/1, and it costs 3, and it has a special ability called Forest Walk, but I'm not entirely sure how to explain what Forest Walk is. This one, obviously, it is not an elf, but I love this card. It's very expensive. It costs 8, but it comes out as an 8/8. However, as you can see here, for each green creature I control, it costs 1 less. So if I have 4 creatures on my battlefield, it only costs 4, but it's still an 8/8. So it's a really great card to have. Next we have Rise the Exiled, also an elf warrior, and it's a 3/2 and costs 3. And whenever it attacks, you get a life for each elf you control. And this is an enchantment. You keep this on the field. Also very handy. And we have Hurricane, and this card has saved me a few times. This X means that it costs however much damage you want it to have. So it costs X +1. And it deals X damage to each creature with flying and each player. So if I have 15 forests available, or even mana in general, I can pay 1 and then we'll say 14, and then it deals 14 damage to each creature with flying and each player. An Elvish Champion costs 3, and it's a 2/2. And this is another card where you get +1/+1, but you also have Forest Walk. Oh, and here's an explanation of what Forest Walk is. They're unblockable as long as a defending player controls a forest. So that other card that had Forest Walk, I could take a forest and put it on my opponent's battlefield if they do not have one, and then they can't block. Next we have Blanchwood Armor, and this is an enchantment aura. I'm not really sure what the aura means per se, but basically you pay 3 spells I control, and I have, 8 spells, so it's an 8/8. And then I have, we'll say, 10 forests out, then it's now an 18/18. But that specific one only, because it attaches to that specific creature, but still can cause a lot of damage and be a real big pain in the ass for whoever I'm playing. This is regrowth, and it allows me to go into my graveyard and grab any card and put it in my hand. I don't use it that often, but every once in a while it does come in handy. And next we have Spitting Spider, and it costs 5 and it's a 3/5. This is really great for blocking as well as doing some damage. Thorn-wheeled Archer. And lastly, Wirewood Herald. Alright guys, that is my magic deck. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I actually enjoyed making it. I haven't played Magic in a while, but after making this video, I actually really want to play now. Again, I hope that you enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments if you play Magic. Hope this was relaxing. Sleep well.